Welcome to Rock Your Talk. I'm Leisa Reid, your host. Very excited to be here with our guest today, Chuck Hester. Welcome, Chuck. How are you?
I'm excellent, Lisa, being with you.
Oh, cool. Chuck's going to share with us some tips about LinkedIn, which I think we can all use some tips right now. I know a lot of people are using LinkedIn and some are probably making mistakes on LinkedIn. I know I witnessed some mistakes and I'm sure I've made mistakes too. So I'm really excited to hear what Chuck has to say. And hopefully you can apply this to your business and your profile right away. I am the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now and also a trainer at Productive Learning. And a couple of gifts for you. If you're a speaker and you'd like to market your business through speaking, go ahead to GetSpeakingGigsNow.com. You can pick up a free gift of 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs. And if you'd like to even take it further, you can set up a strategy session with me. There's a link on that site as well to do so. That's really if you're serious about getting started, really jumping into speaking. At Productive Learning, you can also, we're a personal development company, and you can register for a free course that we offer called New Thinking for New Actions at productivelearning.com/gift. So I just gave you a whole bunch of really cool goodies. And if you missed that, rewind the tape and hear it again, productivelearning.com/gift. That gives you access to a 5-module course all about how do you create new thinking? How do you create new results for your life? And it walks you through that whole process. Very powerful stuff. So there's a couple tips and gifts for you. Meanwhile, let's get back to our show and hear what Chuck has to say. Chuck, tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're doing what you're doing.
That's like the last part there is the easiest one. I'm doing what I'm doing because I love doing it.
Okay.
I am working as a marketing communications consultant, and I'm known as the MacGyver of Marcom. You don't have a marketing plan, I'll come in with PVC pipe and duct tape and put something together for you.
Paper clips and put that whole thing together.
Exactly. Yeah, I have a lot of fun doing that. I also have a national reputation as a LinkedIn speaker and trainer. I work specifically with executives, startups that are well funded, and associations on how to use LinkedIn for business, for content marketing, for paying it forward. And that's the other aspect of who I am. I'm a pay it forward advocate, have been forever, and really enjoy helping other people.
I love that about you because I know we recently got introduced by a mutual friend, and you've already paid it forward to me, and I hope I'm returning the favor to you at one point. And it's just it's really cool how in this day and age, I know typically maybe I would network just locally, but because we're doing a lot virtually, it's like there's not any barriers. Like we don't need to meet for coffee. We can meet on Zoom and get to know each other and really learn from each other and support each other in that way. So I love that. And I know you have some tips you're going to share with us about using LinkedIn. What's your first tip?
Okay, tip number 1 is to make sure that you are on LinkedIn for a good reason, but you're not selling. I know that people on a regular basis, on a daily basis, I'm hearing from people of, hey, I got a great LinkedIn connection. And then all of a sudden the next message was, and do you want to buy my services?
Yes.
I am a subscriber to Bob Berg's know, like, and trust attitude, which is I've got to know you, like you, and trust you before I can use your services and recommend you. And it's really important to be able to do that and actually show some folks that you just want to build a relationship. That's what it's all about right now. Every single person that I know in general are virtual. I mean, they are using LinkedIn more often than they ever have before. And we're finding business development executives are under pressure because they can't do the golf tournaments or, take somebody to a drink or whatever it may be. So they're looking for ways to get their quota squared away right away. And so that's how they're using LinkedIn incorrectly, by just trying to push their agenda right away and not build that relationship, which is what they should normally have been doing when they were selling in person. And LinkedIn these days is the in-person networking for business.
I cannot agree more. And I find it happens pretty regularly. Even this morning, and this time I got an email from someone who said, "Oh, we recently connected on LinkedIn. I was really impressed with your profile." Does this sound familiar? And I wondered if you were interested in all these services that I provide, and let's jump on a call. And I'm like, we never had a messaging conversation via LinkedIn. I mean, I must have accepted her request, but that was it. And so it's like, wow, it felt so intrusive to just, then I get an email right away because then they scraped my email, I'm sure, off the thing. And without even, I was so surprised. And it happens a lot.
Yeah, it truly does. And you've got to, and that's one of my philosophies is changing the value proposition of LinkedIn and making sure you are showing value to your network and you're being of service to other people. That's kind of the bottom line. I say that on a regular basis. How can I be of service? And somebody usually says, "What are you trying to sell me?" Hard to explain to them. I really just want to build the relationship and find out what's going on. Give them opportunities to use my network for their businesses as well. And down the line, if they can use my services, great. If they can't, then I've still got a great connection.
Absolutely. And I think that you're probably a natural connector, Chuck. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I am too. And I wonder, who knows, there's a sociological study around people who maybe aren't natural connectors and they have that little suspicious, like, what are you trying to do? You're like, no, I really will serve you. Like, I will really connect you to somebody if you allow me, and we develop this trust, and that's like a first step in the relationship. Let's see what we can do for each other. But
yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
not everybody thinks that way.
Indeed.
All right. And then I know you have another tip too. What's your second tip?
Yeah, tip number 2, be sure your LinkedIn profile speaks to your prospects. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of people, especially when they were first on LinkedIn, saw it as an online resume. They saw it as, this is the information about me. Here's who I am. Here's what I do. A LinkedIn profile really needs to talk about who you are as a professional, the services that you provide, or the jobs that you do, in order for somebody to come in who may be a prospect and look at it and go, okay, their services are something that I could definitely be interested in. I mean, the best example I can give you is I had a conversation this morning with someone who I've known and had not seen for 6 years, but in the process of, he saw my contact and saw my information, and he said, I need to talk to you because I've got a new company. This is what we're looking at for marketing. But he saw that I have services that potentially could be of value to him, as opposed to, look at me, here's what I do, here's what's going on. I've seen folks, unfortunately, on a LinkedIn profile actually physically posting their PDF of their resume on there. That's not what this is all about. This is about keywords that folks are going to search you for and find you, and then being able to connect with you directly.
What would you say if someone, because I mean, I hear that, and as a entrepreneur and person, I agree. I mean, that's how I use it. And what if you were looking for a job? Like, what if you actually were job searching and using LinkedIn to do that? What do you recommend for those folks?
Well, there's a couple of things, and I do my pay it forward work is once a month pro bono. I work with a job seeker. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line. So that's important to me to be able to do that. Well, there's a couple of tips in that regard. One is make sure that your LinkedIn profile mirrors your resume in regards to the time that you were at a particular company, what you did for that company. But more importantly, and I just worked with a client this afternoon in regards to this, if you're talking about a particular company, describe the company and what they do. This is a law firm that I'm working with right now. But then the second paragraph within your experiences, so what do you do for that company? What do you do for that law firm? What value are you providing in regards to the profile that you've got? Same in the About Us section. Talk about, if you're a salesperson, talk about the quotas that you met, or the companies that you dealt with, or the clients that you brought in for that, so that it becomes more of, here's who I am, and not only that, but here's the value I could bring to your company, Mr. Employer, to be able to come and work for you.
Right. Or Ms. Employer, which,
Or Ms. Employer. or employer neutral. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. And then you have tip number 3 for us too.
Tip number 3 is my favorite, honestly, and that is pay it forward by helping others to using the network. And I can give you a really good example. I have a friend of mine who at one point in time was homeless. That's when I first met him about 10 years ago. pulled himself up on the bootstraps, got into an apartment, actually graduated from Campbell University in Raleigh, North Carolina, and was doing very well in medical records, and that's where he was headed. Through a snafu, the apartment pulled his lease, so he was homeless again. And so I took my network of 20,000 plus and basically said, how can we help Michael right now, and what can we do to make that difference? Now, the interesting aspect of that is, this is during the Oregon brush fires that were occurring. He's a Red Cross volunteer. He took it upon himself to go to the Red Cross and said, I'm available, let me volunteer. He spent 4 weeks in Oregon helping other people. But I do that on a regular, people talk about, well, you've got 20,000 connections on LinkedIn. What does that mean? I've got 19,999 people. If for somebody who comes and says, I've got this issue, or I need to meet somebody, this is what it looks like. I also talk about the small big, which is, it's a small thing to you to introduce somebody to a potential employer. It's huge for somebody to have that happen for them and potentially get a job as a result.
I've never heard it described that way, small, big. And I think that
I love that phrase.
That's so cool.
One of my favorite phrases.
Ooh, that makes such a difference. And sometimes you don't know, right? Until you may never know how something small that you did really affected somebody. But when you just keep putting out those small, I call them, for me, I refer to it like a 5-minute favor. Like, would you do a 5-minute favor for this person? Maybe it's liking their post or commenting or sharing or making that introduction. But like, it's still 5 minutes of your time. Your time is valuable. But if everyone was willing to do a little bit for the people in their, whoever's in front of you, let's just say, then we could make a really, really huge impact. So
I'll give you a solid example of that, Lisa. It was a newspaper article saw from the UK. Somebody was in a hospital parking lot and saw somebody, struggling. And she said, what the problem is that I don't have the money right now for the parking meter, and I really need to go in the hospital. He paid for her for the parking meter. Turned out that she was going in to see her dying father. And because she was able to park, she saw him before he passed away. And all he did was put in 20p, which is approximately 50 cents or whatever that number is. And that was a small thing for him to do, but the biggest thing for her for, last part of her father's life.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I mean, I think we can all relate to things that people did for us at any point, during our many years of being in a career or schooling or whatever that was in life. And had that one person not taken a chance on you or just kind of gave you that leg up, what a difference, how different your life would have turned out. So,
absolutely.
I know I have one of my employer comes to mind from a long time ago who just really she hired me on the spot. She had no business to hire me on the spot. She did anyway, thank goodness. And it turned into a long career in an industry that I had never been in. So always appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes a difference. And like you mentioned earlier, you never know what you do with someone, how that's going to affect them. It could be 3 years down the line that they're affected by that. You don't know. All you know is paying it forward makes a heck of a lot of sense. And it's what you're supposed to be doing.
100%. Yeah, I love that. I love what you're doing. And I love that you have like this mission and heart behind also these strategies that can really help somebody build their business or get employed or whatever that solution that you're looking for, and learning how to leverage the connections you can make on LinkedIn in a way that is intentional and heart-centered and smart business, right? It's like, it's all those things, not just get the sale. It's really about cultivating the relationship. All right. One more question for you, Chuck. This does not have anything to do with LinkedIn, but the show is called Rock Your Talk. So one of the questions I like to ask is, do you have a favorite rock star or rock band? And if so, would you share who that is?
I wake up every morning and I have Amazon devices all over my apartment. I wake up every morning to two. One is James Taylor, because I'm a kid of the 70s. There's no doubt. So while I'm getting ready for work, that's my guy. And then during the day, and most people will know them when I mention what he does, is a jazz pianist called Vince Guaraldi. Now,
Okay.
Vince Guaraldi is the gentleman who created all the soundtracks for the Charlie Brown specials.
Oh,
And so,
yes.
but one of the best jazz folks I've ever had, and he's my underlying soundtrack is the best way to describe that while I'm working during the day.
Beautiful. Like that Schroeder character who's always
Yeah,
playing the piano,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, yep.
I always loved Schroeder. He never said a word, just head down, just doing his thing. Very cool. Well, I'm excited that you were able to share those tips with our readers. And how should they get a hold of you? What do you recommend
Well,
people?
what a surprise, Lisa. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and actually, I will use what I normally do when I do my speeches. If you send me a LinkedIn invitation and you mention that I was on the Leisa Reid show and that I rocked, then I will be glad to connect with you directly. And what I've got for your listeners is a 15-minute phone call with me to look through your LinkedIn profile and give you some tips or answer any questions you have. I've got a reputation of ask me a question about LinkedIn, I most likely will have the answer to it. And at the minimum, what we're going to do is start a really cool relationship. So find me on LinkedIn. I'm Chuck Hester. You can't miss me. And I'm an open connector in that regard. So just please make sure it's a personal invitation. I don't accept generic invitations, and I'll be more than happy to connect with them.
What a great offer. Thank you for offering that. I know that a lot of people need help because they're trying to figure it out on their own and they're just doing the best they can. So to have expert eyes on that is very generous of you. Well, thanks for being on our show. And for you listeners out there, remember to be kind to yourself if you haven't done that already today, and be kind to somebody else. And we will see you on the next episode of Rock Your Talk. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so that you get continuous reminders about other experts coming on the show and sharing their expertise. We'll see you later.